We're filming a music video today with one of the first autofocus anamorphic lenses from SIRUI. Let's do it. This is being filmed on the world's first autofocus anamorphic lens. It's pretty incredible. You may be thinking, it's not a very difficult task for an autofocus lens. It should perform just as good as any other autofocus lens out there, whether it's anamorphic or not. I agree, so I put it to the test and threw as many obstacles as I could at it. Fast-paced push-ins and pull-outs, extreme lighting changes, low aperture, low light, and tons more. So what do? We made a rap video. So the brief for the project was house party vibes, lots of extras, props, a DJ, a big hype atmosphere, and make it look epic. Oh yeah, and the budget? It's only $500. Challenge accepted. We had one location to make a whole music video in one night with only one try to get it right. I decided to keep it pretty simple but get as creative as I could with the shots. The plan was to shoot basically in one room with one lighting setup and keep packing in extras in whatever direction we were shooting. Then I would use props to my advantage in creating a little story that the main artist is bouncing around this house party, doing different things and interacting with the props. These activities included Uno, jamming out with the DJ, crowd surfing, popping confetti cannons, and the best one of all, the pizza man. Now that I had the rough idea, it was time to put it in action as we only had 2 weeks to pull everything together. First things first, we needed a location. Luckily, Dante, the artist, had a friend in real estate that had a completely empty house for us to film in, so that was checked off the list. Second, we needed to get the props to make this house feel like a real house party. I feel like set decorating is the most overlooked aspect of filmmaking, but I love it because it really sets the scene and brings production value way up. We're gonna make this place look like it had a crazy party, so. Some sauce, like, you know. Yeah. This is what filmmaking is. Just making dirty napkins on purpose. Help me out, Hugh. So we got party poppers, string lights, confetti, solo cups, Uno, pizza, plates, balloons, a punch bowl, and a disco ball. The next issue was the house was completely empty, which was actually really good as we needed space to pack in extras and film, but we needed a little something else. So another lucky strike was that Dante, the artist, happened to live down the street from the house. So he brought over a futon and a glass coffee table to shoot the Uno scene on mainly, but also to have something against that plain wall in the house. The next thing to check off the list was a DJ. You would think this would be difficult to get, however, we had yet another lucky strike and Dante, the artist, had a buddy of his who was traveling through town from Atlanta to Birmingham for a gig perfectly timed to when we were shooting. So we were good. And of course, getting the perfect talent to play our pizza man was not an issue as we already had our star, Hugh Lindsay. If you've been around this channel at all, you'll know his acclaimed role as Pizza Man. The last thing on the list was to get at least 20 to 30 extras to make it a legit house party. Again, you'd think this would be difficult to pull off, however, our last lucky strike was that Dante, the artist, has a great devoted following and put out a call for help for a music video, and we had over 100 signups in the first hour. So yet another box checked off. So the day finally came to shoot this thing. We had our location, props, extras, and crew. The only thing I haven't covered is this autofocus anamorphic lens that we're all counting on to help us breeze through this shoot. This lens is pretty good looking, well made, and feels solid in the hand. It's available in E-mount 40mm with blue or neutral flares. It covers Super 35 sensors, but I had no problems on my full frame sensor and 1.33 anamorphic. It has a minimum focusing distance of 1.97 feet, which is crazy for an anamorphic lens. And the best feature and the whole reason you're here is the autofocus. So the first thing I noticed right away was how loud the focus motor was. It sounds pretty janky and I thought it was defective at first, but that's just how loud it is. However, the performance was very impressive at first. I did some simple studio tests and it tracked me well. Even at f2.8, it tracked me with no problem. Once I went down to f1.8, it definitely had trouble front focusing me. Now the next test is where things really fell apart. I tested the peripherals and its ability to track a subject there. It totally lost me and even would search for me for over 10 seconds sometimes. I even switched the focus type to wide and flexible spot, and it still couldn't keep me sharp. It even had trouble focusing me when I introduced a little bit of light movement in the frame. I honestly feel like that shouldn't be a problem. Now I will say, during the music video, my subject stayed dead center for the most part, so that's why it held up so well on set, but I did notice if he moved side to side too much, it lost him and I had to push in close and center for it to find him again, or else it would just start searching frantically. Either way, I'm still pumped they're making autofocus anamorphic lenses, and it will only get better as time goes on. And if you're in a pinch and you want an anamorphic shot on a gimbal, and your subject is dead center, it will work really well. So it was the day of the shoot, and we all got there a couple hours early to get things set up. We staged gear, brought in the furniture, and then started set decking. For the lighting, the goal was to keep it simple and not have to change it much. To be honest, the DJ's lights didn't do much at all, and I was really relying on his kit to bring the party atmosphere. So I had to pivot, and I got creative and set up a C-stand in the corner that had an aperture 300 on the top and an Amaran 200 clamped halfway down. I just needed as much flashing light and backlight as possible to make the party look intense. I also built out 4 tube lights on the C-stand behind the DJ to bring some color and texture in the background. The last light I used was the Amaran F22, and this was my movable key light for wherever Dante was. That way he always had some kind of consistent key light on his face no matter where he was in the scene. The first shot we needed was Dante singing double time so we could slow down the footage in post to make it look like he was rapping in slow motion. This was hard due to the fact that the song was really fast already. So we kept it to the slower parts of the song and then ran it a few times. We double checked it was going to work on set before moving on, as these shots were pretty important for the choruses. It ended up working out alright. The next shot was a top-down shot of Dante crowd surfing. I threw my FX3 on a boom arm and raised it all the way to the ceiling. I also used the SIRUI 16mm Nightwalker here and closed up the aperture so he wouldn't miss focus too much. And then I just got a group of guys to lift him up to the camera and throw him while he sang. After that, we did a wide Dutch angle of Dante singing with the kitchen in the background. So I positioned some extras around the kitchen and set up the 16mm on the boom arm again and got a few passes here. This was definitely one of my favorite angles. Then I needed to grab some generic B-roll of people dancing and having a good time, so I went back to the 40mm anamorphic here and just ran around. The autofocus really handled the lighting changes and tons of people really well. It sort of locked on to whoever was right in front of me and it held on pretty well. It almost did better in this crazy hectic atmosphere than it did in my studio. At this point it was super loud, everyone was sweating, the fire alarms kept going off, everyone was actually partying around us as we set up. And it was kind of getting late. Joseph, our AD and producer, and I were definitely overstimulated. A lot of people here. I'm really overstimulated, but I'm being really brave about it. We're about to do the pizza scene. This is the best part. I had the idea to attach my FX3 to a pizza and have it fly through the crowd as they all grabbed a slice. I literally gaff taped a magic arm to the bottom of the box and just held it. I think I built it in like 5 minutes. And it was actually kind of heavy and really hard to hold up, especially when everyone started grabbing from it. But this was another one of my favorite shots. Then it was time for our pizza man to get dragged into the party. I wanted the doorbell to interrupt the party. And then he gets pulled in. And then he's partying hard with them eating pizza. This was the funnest shot to get. I don't know why, it just felt good. The last shot we needed for the night was the Uno table. I wanted to have an angle looking up through the glass as Dante sang and everyone around him aggressively played. We were very rushed on this shot and I wish I could have lit it better, but we did what we could and I think it worked out well. Wow, well, that's a wrap. You know, we're done an hour and a half earlier than we thought, which you'd think would be a good thing, except we had to cram everything that fast because everyone wanted to go home. We need bigger budgets so we can yell at everyone and make sure they can stay. Nah, it went good. It was a good shoot. Good. It was hectic, crazy, but we got it done. We got it done. That's all that matters. It looks great. I hope. We'll see.